Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining our study abroad for psychology, psychobiology, and cognitive science majors. My name is Ana Arellano, and I'm one of the study abroad advisors at the International Education Office. At the IEO, we're the one-stop shop for study abroad. We're here to answer any questions you have about studying abroad, about our programs. We give you the pros and cons. We can help you choose a program or weigh the options that you may have. And we're also here to connect you with students who have studied abroad in the past. If you want to know a little bit about a student perspective at Sydney, for example, we can do that for you. And I'll speak a little bit more about that at the end. This presentation today is brought to you by Global Learning Opportunities Week. So throughout, from Monday to Friday, we have sessions that are being recorded that go from Study Abroad 101, from finances abroad to scholarships abroad, as well as discipline focus like the session we are having today. So we have a very brief agenda, but we have a lot of information to cover. So we'll start off with going over some Study Abroad 101 refreshers from our webinar. We have an advisor today from the Department of Psychology who will speak more about studying abroad, specifically in your major. And then we'll end the presentation with some sample programs as well as a Q&A session. So let's begin by talking about Study Abroad 101 refreshers. Very briefly, we do have a Study Abroad 101 webinar. This webinar it's very general and it goes all topics about study abroad. We go into the program types that we offer, so the experience that you can expect while you are abroad, the credit transfer depending on the program, how that will transfer over to your curriculum at UCLA. We break down the cost and the funding, as well as the application process and the timeline. This specific session that you are attending today is really discipline focused for our majors in the Department of Psychology, which is why the distinction we have. I will briefly go over, like I mentioned, some refreshers, but if you haven't watched the webinar, Study Abroad 101 webinar, I strongly encourage you to do so. There's a lot of important information on there. But because there's a lot of information that's still important, we'll briefly touch on those topics. First and foremost, I want to speak about the experience type or the program types that we do offer. There's a lot that we do offer. Some that we provide are university immersion programs, where this is a traditional study abroad experience that students may have in mind, where you go abroad to a local university, you're being taught by local professors, and you're with local students. We offer other opportunities where we have UCLA courses. They're simply abroad. These are UCLA faculty-led programs, which are summer only, but it's a great way to take UCLA courses just in a different location. We also offer intern and research opportunities where you can receive academic credit. At the IEO, we offer 3 specific programs. We have our UCLA travel study programs. These are summer only. These are the UCLA faculty-led programs that I was briefly mentioning. And they are, like I mentioned, UCLA courses just simply abroad. We have our UCLA global internship programs. These are summer only 8-week internships. They are non-paid, but you do receive direct UCLA credits. And then finally, we have our UC Education Abroad program, otherwise known as UC EAP. This program is available during the summer, the quarter, semester, as well as year-long options. So any year-round, they have opportunities for you. UC EAP students will earn direct credit as well. They will have UC units and UC grades that will factor into their transcript, just like any of our programs that we do offer. So within those 3 programs that we offer, there's over 200 opportunities to study abroad. So that can be a little bit overwhelming. Because of that, we do have a resource to help you narrow down your program options. On our website under Get Started, how to choose your program, we also have a bit.ly included on the screen. This provides you 4 factors that we encourage you to consider when you are browsing through programs. It asks you a series of questions. So for example, how important or is it important for you to have a single room while you are abroad? Is it important for you to have a meal plan? Do you want to study abroad in English, or would you like to practice on a local language? So series of questions like that just help you decipher perhaps from 10 programs to maybe 3. So that helps you narrow down your programs a little bit more. Just a very quick touch on financial aid. If you are eligible and continue to be eligible for financial aid, you can use that UCLA financial aid to cover up to the total cost of your program. There are definitely scholarships that are available as well, some available through our office, some through external databases or links. These are very robust topics, so we do have a session specifically for financial aid and for scholarships. They are available on demand on our Study Abroad page if you are interested in learning more about that. So when to apply, deadlines do begin as early as 9 months before you depart. It is not, but they do vary, I'm sorry, but they do vary between programs. And I'll touch a little bit about that in the next slide. It's generally not competitive to be able to be accepted into these programs, though I do want to note that most are first come, first serve. So we do encourage students to start the browsing, and that way they have in mind if they're interested in a limited space program applying, and we encourage them to apply sooner than later. We do have all our open and closing dates available on our website under ieo.ucla.edu/deadlines. And if we're speaking about the current applications that we are accepting, for our UCLA travel study programs, you would register for this program, and registration begins on November 16th at 8 a.m. We have our UCLA Global Internship Program, which begins, applications begin accepted on October 24th, so that's next week at noon. And then we have our UC EAP programs for programs that are not limited space for summer 23, fall 23, and year 23 and 24. Those are now open. For programs that are first come, first serve on the UC EAP end for summer, fall, and year 23 and 24, those are open on November 1st at 9 a.m. And all our winter and spring 2024 applications will open on January 3rd at 9 a.m. So we reviewed our Study Abroad 101 refreshers. Now I'd like to hand it over to Dylan from Department of Psychology to speak more about studying abroad in your major.
Thank you so much, Anna, and thank you all for joining us today. My name's Dylan, and I'm one of the undergraduate advisors for the Psych department. And so I'll be talking about how study abroad can apply to your major. Oh, did I accidentally skip a page? No, okay. All right, so first and foremost, I do want to say that students are not obligated to study abroad in their major. Like there are a lot of programs where you have the opportunity to take courses that can count for your major requirements. But depending on what other requirements you have to satisfy, you could potentially take courses counting for your GE requirements. If you're pursuing a minor, that could also be a potential option. Foreign language or tech breadth if you're a student in engineering. Or you could also just do it, as units towards graduation. It doesn't necessarily have to count for a requirement. A lot of programs are not designed around a particular major, so a lot of the time you will need to petition courses to count for major requirements. So I would definitely encourage all of you to expand your search beyond the major programs or programs that are geared towards a particular subject. There's a lot of different programs, lots of different countries that are options, so I would definitely encourage you to explore as many options as you can. But if you want to study abroad in your major, the way that courses can apply to the major depends on which of our three majors you're pursuing. So for psychology, students can have courses count as electives for the major if they're minimum 4 units and upper division, and they're a psychology course. For course equivalency or for petitioning courses for psychobio or cog-sci, all those courses or all those requirements would have to be petitioned. So basically you would have to petition those courses with our department to count in place of specific major requirements. To petition, you will basically need to submit the course syllabus to our office, which we currently are accepting the syllabi via Message Center on my UCLA. So you can send us the syllabi through that, and then basically our undergraduate vice chair reviews all of our course substitution petitions. And then basically from there, they're looking at how similar the courses are and whether or not the course content is relevant to the major. So now we'll talk about when to study abroad. And again, this differs depending on the major that you're a part of. So for psychology, our general recommendation is for students to study abroad after declaring the major. So after finishing all of the major preparation requirements and then submitting the online application by end of fall quarter of third year, which is the deadline to finish the major preps. The reason why we recommend waiting until after declaring major standing to study abroad is just to make sure that you're admitted into the major before going on your abroad program. We are really strict with all of our deadlines to complete the major preparation requirements. So we just, encourage students to focus on that first, and then once they're in the major, then focus on like studying abroad. For psychobiology, it's a little more broad, I guess, depending on what type of program you would want to do. For Psychobio, a popular program is the Summer Physics Series, where students can complete part of the physics series over the summer. And usually for that, students complete that program either after their first year or after their second year. But if you're interested in taking upper division courses, like courses for the major, then we would recommend going in your fourth year once you've declared the major, or just after you've declared major standing. And then for cognitive science, kind of similarly with psych and psychobio, we recommend students try to go after declaring the major. So after you finished all the major preps and you've switched from the pre-major to the major. This is just to ensure that you finish all the major prep requirements by the deadline, and then, from there, then you can go on the program and have courses count for the major. Lastly, we'll talk about major academic plans. So on each of these links, there are more guidelines on how to receive credit for the major, as well as how to petition. So these are only guidelines. So if you have more specific questions, I would definitely recommend just reaching out to our office to talk to an advisor about it. It's the same thing if you are not sure kind of what courses to petition. Like, let's say if you are, choosing your study abroad program and you're not sure kind of what courses to petition for what requirements, that is definitely like a great opportunity to see an advisor. But yeah, I would definitely recommend looking up these major academic plans and then just following up with our office if you have any other questions. And so I think now I will turn it back over to Anna to talk about sample programs.
Thank you, Dylan. So we'll just briefly review some programs of the many that are available to you. We'll begin with UCEAP. If you're looking for courses for example, specifically in the Department of Psychology, I would recommend browsing through UCEAP, and I'll go ahead and show momentarily why. So very briefly, I want to guide you on how to find these programs. So UCEAP, they offer over 168 within just their program. So first, we're going to start off at ieo.ucla.edu, and I have this brief video that I hope is great quality. So on our website, we're going to go to Explore Programs, specifically UCEAP, and we're going to click Programs on the left-hand side. So we see over 168, and we can go ahead and start filtering on the left-hand side. What I would recommend is going all the way to the top menu on the right-hand side, and under Explore UCEAP, we're going to filter by psychology. What this lets us know is that there are over 81 programs that are psychology themed or have psychology courses. We're clicking on the University of Sussex, just as a quick example, and at a glance, you can see the requirements for the program. But we're going over to the academics page on the left-hand side, and if we scroll a little bit more than half under catalogs and resources, this is where you would find the course syllabi or the course description that Dylan was mentioning earlier for your petition process. The same applies for any program. Under the academics page is where you would find that necessary information, and also browse through the courses that respective university offers. So we clicked on the University of Sussex. So let me give you a little bit range of that. So Sussex is located in England. If you're interested in going abroad in the UK, this program is offered during the summer, the fall, spring, or year. You can study abroad to satisfy requirements in your major, your minor, or GEs. Some sample psychology courses, psychology department courses that they offer include health psychology, drugs, brain, and behavior, as well as psychology and education. Another program is Yonsei University, located in South Korea, available for the summer, fall, spring, or year terms. Once again, you can satisfy major, minor, or GE requirements. Psychology-specific courses include developmental psychology, social psychology, and modern society in psychology. One thing I briefly want to mention when we're looking into UC-EAP programs is the experience type. So here we have our program at a glance, and under experience type, we see the keyword immersion. What this means is that we're looking at our traditional study abroad exchange, where you are at a local university with local students and local professors. So when you see immersion, that is what that means. We also have Maastricht University, located in the Netherlands, available during the summer, fall semester, and spring quarter. Once again, you may satisfy major, minor, or GE courses depending on your interest. Some sample courses at Maastricht include Going Dutch or Medical Ethics, Psychology and Law, as well as Hormones, the Brain, and Behavior. So one key thing I want to mention when it comes to browsing through programs is the different titles that these programs may have. So as we can see for Maastricht University, which we briefly mentioned, it's titled Psychology and Neuroscience. So right off the bat, we know they offer psychology courses or a psychology program. But in the previous example that we had for Sussex, they do not mention psychology in the name, but we do see that they did offer or do offer psychology courses. So one thing I want to emphasize is that when you are browsing through programs, do not be discouraged by the name of the program. If they came up in the search for the 81 programs of psychology, then they do offer some psychology courses or psychology themed. So something to just keep in mind when you are browsing. Even if it doesn't mention psychology in the name, there is a potential for still offering psychology department courses. So like I mentioned, there are a dozen options for UC-EAP that offers. We saw there are 81 programs. So these were just a few that focus specifically on the psychology courses. There are other options, like we mentioned, GEs, minor requirements, or you can also study abroad just to earn the units. A program that I am mentioning is a UC-EAP made in Italy. It's available in Florence or in Rome for the summer, fall, winter, or spring terms. So some sample courses include entrepreneurship the Italian way, fashion and media in Italy, as well as bread, wine, and olive oil. So it's a culinary history of Italy. So it's just one of our other UC-EAP programs that's not psychology based, but you may be eligible to enroll in as well. So made in Italy, I want to emphasize as well the experience type. If you see anything titled UC curriculum, what this means is that you are studying abroad at a UC center. So in this example, you are studying abroad at the UC Center in Florence, and you will be taking classes with UC students at a UC Center. So you're either with local professors who have experience teaching UC students or UC professors. So anything on that end, but you are strictly with UC students. So it's not that immersion type that we saw previously. Now I'd like to turn it over to our UCLA Global Internship Program. These are summer only programs. They're 8 weeks abroad, and they are non-paid, but you do receive academic credits. So there's no internship specifically for majors in the Department of Psychology, but if you are interested in the global affairs, global health, or political science tracks, these are opportunities that are available to you as a major in the Department of Psychology. We offer internships in Argentina, and Bolivia, and Ireland, South Africa, Vietnam, and we also offer virtual options as well. I mentioned there are 8 weeks, however, here I have listed 10 weeks. So we do have 2 courses that are available on this program. If you take simply the internship course for 4 units, it would be an 8-week abroad internship. If you add the optional intercultural communication course, that would just put a little bit more emphasis and would really complement your internship. That would bring your total duration of this program to 10 weeks. So that would add an additional 4 units and an additional 2 weeks to your program. So some sample placements for our global internships include advocacy groups, global health, government and politics, as well as nonprofits and social work. And next, we have our UCLA travel study programs. These are summer only programs as well, from 3 to 5 weeks. And these are UCLA courses just simply abroad. So these are led by UCLA professors. An example that we have is In the Footsteps of Hans Christian Andersen. This is located in Denmark, and you will be abroad specifically for 4 weeks. You would be enrolling in 2 courses, so Intro to Scandinavian Literature and Culture and Scandinavian and Crime Literature. The Scandinavian 50W course has been pre-approved to satisfy the Writing 2, the Literary and Cultural Analysis, or the diversity requirement for students in the Letters and Science, School of Music, and the Public Affairs School. So that's a great opportunity to just get some GEs out of the way. Like I mentioned, everything's pre-approved UCLA courses, so it's an automatic guarantee. For another example for travel study is understanding economics through country differences. So this is located in Singapore, and it'll be in the summer for 4 weeks, and you'll be once again enrolling in 2 courses, Economics for Everyone for 5 units and Directed Research for 4 units. The Economics for Everyone course has been pre-approved to satisfy the Social Analysis GE, as well as a Diversity for Letters and Sciences, School of Music, and the Public Affairs. So we don't have with us today a student returnee within the Department of Psychology, but we do have psychology students who have made themselves available to provide you a little bit more information about their experience abroad. If you are interested in connecting with anyone who has studied abroad within the Department of Psychology, or even anywhere, just any program, let us know. You may email us at info@ieo.ucla.edu. Within that email, let us know if you want to connect with someone within that matches your major, if there's a specific program, for example, the Maastricht program, Psychology and Neuroscience, if you want to know more about that. If you want to know someone who studied abroad in Norway, for example, let us know in your email as much information as possible. We can always partner you as best closely related to what catches your interest. So with that, that does conclude our presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to enter those in the Q&A. I'll be happy to address those, as well as Dylan from the Department of Psychology. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so I can go on camera. Actually, I'll keep it on screen. But if you have any questions, feel free to let us know, and feel free to unmute. Actually, you cannot unmute, so just enter the Q&A. So we'll give it a couple minutes to let you enter those questions. Yes, we have a question. So the question is, if we want to create a future course plan to prepare for abroad, will we meet with an advisor from the psych department? Dylan, would you like to tackle this one?
Yeah, of course. So to create a course plan, yeah, you would want to meet with an advisor from the psychology department. We don't create long-term plans like quarter by quarter, just because for all 3 of our majors, the order that you complete the requirements in is very flexible. But if you already have a long-term course plan that you want us to look over, we're definitely happy to do that. To set up an appointment with us, you'll just contact our office via the message center on my UCLA, and then we'll connect you with an advisor to set up an appointment. So there was another question, where is your office located and how do we make an appointment with an advisor? So our office is located in 1530 Pritzker Hall. We're right on the first floor. To meet with an advisor, you'll just send us a message on Message Center. We don't do drop-in advising. Everything is by appointment. So you can just send us a message and then we'll connect you with an advisor to set up another appointment.
So we have a question. What's the cost in studying abroad? Very good question. It does depend on your program. There are a lot of factors to consider when it comes to the cost of studying abroad. So that includes the location. So for example, are you interested in studying abroad where the cost of living is higher? We're looking into programs in the UK and in France versus programs where the cost of living can be less expensive, which will factor into the total cost of your program. Another thing that would factor in is the total units that you are expected to receive versus, is it 10 versus 24? So that can impact, as well as how long you are abroad. If you are along for 10 weeks, that can make the cost less expensive than you were if you were abroad for 18 weeks, for example. So there are a lot of factors. So each program page provides a breakdown of the cost, as well as everything that's included in the fees. One thing I do want to highlight is that all our programs, they include all the estimated expenses that a student can expect to incur while they are abroad. That also encompasses their round trip airfare, that includes their meals, their housing, the travel insurance. So want to make sure that the students are well aware of the total financial aid, the total cost of the study abroad program. So what is the limit of courses you can take while studying abroad? This depends on the program. You are required to be a full-time enrolled student. Summer enrollments typically could range from 2 to 4 courses depending on the program. It even includes one, for example, if we're looking into our global internship program, where it's just one mandatory course and you have the option of adding another. We have programs during the fall semester or spring semester where you can range from about 4 courses. Like I mentioned, each program under the academics page will let you know, and they do give you a range of how many units you are expected to receive and the courses, the minimum requirement of courses that you are expected to enroll in. Will the cost be on top of UCLA tuition? Great question. No, it will not be on top of UCLA tuition. The total cost of the program is the only fees that you would be paying, is the total cost of tuition for that respective term. So if, for example, your program costs $2,000 less than UCLA tuition, then great. Your total cost for that year is $2,000 less than UCLA tuition. You will not be paying UCLA tuition plus a study abroad program. It's just the study abroad fees. Where can we see the estimated financial cost? They're located under each individual program. So travel study and global internship, those are specifically located on our website. So ieo.ucla.edu, they have a breakdown on each program page. They have curriculum, they have finances and budget. For UC-EAP specifically, when we have our little video, we went to the academics page, but this underneath that, we have our cost page where you can have the breakdown, and you can also customize it as well based on if you're out-of-state student, if you have any specific campus fees, so that's customized to your needs as well. It seemed like the travel studies satisfied many GE requirements, but are there programs given upper division credit? Great question. Our upper division credit for travel study include independent research, but most of them are geared towards satisfying GEs, writing diversity requirements. So those are guaranteed, but most of them are geared towards lower division requirements. Great questions. We'll give it 30 seconds more to see if anyone else has any other questions or concerns. If you have concerns as well, let us know. We can address those and making sure that you're confident in being able to pursue study abroad. Awesome. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end our presentation. If you have any questions that come up at a later time, feel free to connect with us. We offer virtual drop-in advising, in-person advising. We offer one-on-one appointments, whether it's general questions or program specific. Also feel free to email us at info@ieo.ucla.edu. Or if you have questions for me specifically, I do oversee the summer physics programs that Dylan was mentioned earlier for satisfying those lower division physics requirements. So send me an email as well. I'll be happy to speak about those or schedule a time to meet. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you found this session very informative and hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.